When World War II comes to mind, we often talk about tanks rumbling through Europe, naval vessels battling on the ocean, or bombers dropping devastation from above. However, there existed another, frequently overlooked thing that influenced the trajectory of the war: the combat glider. It was quiet, unprotected, and piloted by some of the most courageous individuals of the war. These gliders transported soldiers and gear directly into the center of combat. Among them, the most well-known was the Waco CG-4. The concept of employing gliders in combat originated from Germany, not America. In 1940, German troops shocked the world by employing gliders to capture the Belgian fortress of Eben-Emael, landing quietly on its roof and overpowering the defenders. The US Armed Forces noticed. If gliders were able to transport troops directly to a battlefield, evading conventional defenses, they could be essential in upcoming Allied attacks. In 1941, the US Army Air Forces issued a request for a novel aircraft type, which was easy to construct, capable of transporting 13 fully equipped soldiers or the same weight in cargo, and affordable enough for mass production. The Ohio-based Waco Aircraft Company responded to that demand with the CG-4, a practical design constructed from steel tubing, plywood, and fabric. By the conclusion of the war, over 13,000 gliders had been produced by 16 various companies, ranging from furniture manufacturers to a piano manufacturer. You may wonder, why is that? Due to the fact that velocity was prioritized over skill. These gliders were not designed for longevity. They were intended for a single perilous journey into hostile land. Upon initial observation, the CG-4 appeared fragile, yet it was surprisingly well crafted. Boasting a wingspan of 83 feet and a length of slightly over 48 feet, it was relatively small compared to other gliders from that time. The most groundbreaking aspect was the hinged front section. The whole cockpit could swing aside, forming a large entrance through which jeeps, light artillery, or supplies of ammunition could be swiftly discharged. Deploying these gliders into combat was another obstacle. Most gliders were pulled behind a C-47 Dakota transport aircraft using a 300-foot nylon line. As they approached the landing area, the tow line was detached, allowing the glider pilot to assume control. But there's a twist: you had only one opportunity to land. No motors, no retries. Should he misjudge, or if enemy fire hit its target, the consequences could be disastrous. Landing zones were infrequently secure. Pilots frequently had to break through hedgerows, evade trees, or slide over fields while under machine gun fire. A few gliders disintegrated during landing. Others collided with barriers. However, the survivors could promptly deploy heavy armaments, vehicles, or reinforcements, frequently altering the outcome of a nearby battle. Flying a CG-4 required nerves of steel. Glider pilots were a unique breed. They were trained as standard pilots, but were anticipated to fly into battle without an engine and to engage as infantry upon landing. This combined function rendered them among the most adaptable and at-risk fighters of the conflict. They were occasionally referred to as suicide jockeys, or the most disposable men in the air forces. Nevertheless, their missions were essential. Without them, airborne forces would have lacked transportation, cannons, and heavy gear as soon as they landed. The first American gliders got their combat debut in 1943 during the invasion of Sicily, where Allied glider operations suffered heavy losses due to poor coordination and rough seas. But the lessons learned there shaped future missions. On D-Day in 1944, over 500 gliders were used to bring reinforcements and equipment into Normandy. Many crashed into the flooded fields of the Cotentin Peninsula, and some never even reached the coast. But those that did provided the airborne divisions with badly needed firepower and mobility, reinforcing the paratroopers who had jumped hours earlier. The most ambitious glider assault came during Operation Market Garden in September 1944. The Allied attempt to leapfrog across the Netherlands and seize key bridges. Thousands of gliders filled the skies, carrying jeeps, artillery, and troops. While the operation ultimately failed, the gliders once again proved their worth of delivering equipment directly into contested zones that would have been impossible to reach otherwise. And finally, in March 1945, came Operation Varsity, the crossing of the Rhine. This was the largest single airborne operation of the war, involving more than 1,300 gliders. By this time, Tactics had improved, and the gliders landed in greater numbers and with greater success, helping secure the bridgehead that carried the Allies deep into Germany. After the war, gliders disappeared from military use almost overnight. Helicopters swiftly took their place, providing the capability to land and take off multiple times without relying on tow planes or risky crash landings. The CG-4, which was produced in large quantities, abruptly became outdated. Today, only a handful survive in museums across the United States. They are fragile artifacts, reminders of an extraordinary experiment in airborne warfare. The gliders themselves may look unimpressive, little things made from canvas and wood, but their impact was enormous. They gave silent wings to the Allied advance. They carried men and machines into the heart of battle, often at the cost of their pilots' lives. And they stand as a tribute to courage, ingenuity, and sacrifice. The Waco CG-4 wasn't flashy. It lacked engines, weaponry, or defenses, yet it transported troops and provisions to locations that no other planes could access. By doing this, it contributed to winning many ground battles in the war. If you enjoyed this look at the hidden history of World War II aviation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for more stories of the machines and the men that changed the course of history.